In this moment, as you sit here, something extraordinary is about to shift within you. Because your financial reality is not controlled by circumstances, luck, or effort, but by the inner state you choose to occupy right now. The doorway to abundance is not months away, not hidden in complicated techniques, and not waiting for the world to cooperate. It opens the instant you decide who you are. In the next few seconds, you will experience the truth that money responds to identity, not struggle. When you dare to feel the end result now, when you allow yourself to step into the version of you who already has the wealth, the ease, the flow, your entire reality rearranges itself with precision and speed. What you are about to hear will show you how a single moment of inner certainty, held for just 11 seconds, can activate the fastest financial shift of your life. This is not motivation, this is creation. And today you reclaim the power that has always been yours. The greatest mystery of creation is that every outcome you desire already exists the moment you dare to assume it, and money, abundance, and financial freedom begin not with action, but with an inner shift so precise, so deliberate, that it can unfold in the quiet space of 11 seconds. The world has tried to convince you that success is earned through struggle, that wealth must be chased, and that your financial reality depends on effort, timing, or luck. But this belief is the very illusion that delays the extraordinary results waiting to reach you. The truth is simple: you are not manifesting money, you are manifesting the version of yourself who naturally attracts money. And this change does not unfold over years. It happens in an instant, the moment you change your inner state of being. Everything in your life is the shadow of your assumptions, and the outer world only mirrors the inner world with unwavering loyalty. When you understand this, you stop negotiating with circumstances, you stop pleading with life, and you step into the authority that has been yours from the beginning. The inner shift is not a ritual, it is a decision. It is a conscious claim, a self-declaration that says, I am now the person who experiences wealth, ease, and effortless financial flow. And when this declaration is felt, not spoken, not imagined faintly, but felt fully, your reality cannot help but reorganize itself around it. Imagine for a moment that every financial desire you hold, whether it is money for security, expansion, comfort, or expression, is not outside you but waiting in your unseen field of possibility. The desire itself is the proof that the state already exists. You could not hunger for a future that does not already belong to you. Desire is simply memory that has not yet become physical. So when you desire money, wealth, overflow, what you are really feeling is the pull of a version of yourself who already possesses it. The inner shift is not about creating something new. It is about aligning with what already exists in a higher dimension of your being. This is why the shift can happen in 11 seconds, because nothing new is being made. You are simply assuming the state that has been waiting for your acceptance. And when you step into this state, even for a brief moment, the universe receives the signal instantly, without delay, without confusion, without hesitation. The universe is not moved by your words, it is moved by your conviction. It responds not to desire, but to identity. When you feel that you already are the wealthy version of yourself, the outer world must conform, because the outer world is nothing more than the echo of your inner persistence. Many people believe they need to visualize for hours, affirm endlessly, or repeat a technique until their mind is numb. But the true power lies in the moment you fully feel the end state as real. You could practice for weeks and make no progress if your heart is not involved. And yet, you could shift your entire financial trajectory in 11 seconds if you feel the result with complete acceptance. The inner shift is effortless because it is natural. It is the return to your true self. Wealth is not foreign to you. Abundance is not foreign to you. The ease, the flow, the comfort, the stability, these are natural expressions of your being. What feels unnatural is the resistance you learn from the world. So the inner shift is not building something new, it is dissolving what never belonged to you in the first place. When you drop the belief that you must struggle, when you release the story that money is difficult, when you stop identifying with lack, the natural state of abundance rises within you like a memory returning home. The inner shift begins with one simple act, feeling the wish fulfilled. Not wishing, not hoping, not imagining as a future possibility, but assuming it now. To feel the end as real is to place yourself vibrationally, emotionally, and energetically in the version of you who has already arrived. And in those seconds where you lock into the feeling, you become the cause, not the seeker. You cease to be the person who wants money and become the person who money responds to. You move from desire to embodiment. This is the moment the shift takes place. Because once the identity changes, everything changes. Once you know you are wealthy, life must behave as though you are. Opportunities appear, unexpected pathways open, people respond differently, ideas become clearer, and money flows through channels you never predicted. The world bends not because it is kind, but because it is obedient. It reflects you in perfect accuracy. To perform the inner shift, you need nothing more than your imagination and your willingness to feel. Close your eyes and step into the version of yourself who already has the money you desire. Not a future version, the now version. Feel the relief of financial security. Feel the lightness of having enough. Feel the gratitude of knowing everything is taken care of. Feel the quiet confidence of someone whose bank account supports their lifestyle. Feel the freedom. Feel the stability. Feel the abundance. Allow the emotion to become so real, so present, that for those few seconds you forget your current circumstances. In that moment you have shifted. That is the state. That is the cause. And that is all it takes. The shift is not measured by time, it is measured by intensity. You do not need hours, you need immersion. Hold it for 11 seconds. 11 seconds of pure acceptance. 11 seconds of feeling the outcome as though it is happening now. 11 seconds of becoming the version of you who already has the money. These seconds are enough because they contain the fullest expression of your belief. And once you have shifted internally, the outer world is already rearranging, even if you cannot yet see it. Just as a seed begins its transformation underground long before the sprout appears, your manifestation begins in the unseen long before results show themselves. The shift is immediate, the appearance is inevitable. You are no longer waiting, you are aligning. You are no longer hoping, you are embodying. You are no longer the person looking for abundance, you are the person abundance cannot ignore. When you understand this, you gain a quiet confidence, a calm certainty. You stop questioning how it will come. You stop doubting whether you are worthy. You stop fearing the unknown, because you finally realize the truth. Every financial miracle begins with the inner shift that declares, I already am. And once you embody this identity, life responds as though you are telling the truth, because you are. The inner world commands, and the outer world obeys. That is the law, that is the power, and that is how results appear in as little as 11 seconds. Teach pibaro fietiendest festiest minimagement. The greatest secret behind rapid manifestation, especially when it comes to money, is understanding that the end is not something to chase, but something to feel now, because the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the creative force that collapses time, dissolves effort, and shifts you into the version of yourself who already has everything you desire. This is where people misunderstand the process. They believe the future is separate from the present, that their dream is ahead of them somewhere in time, waiting for them to take enough action, make enough progress, or demonstrate enough worthiness to deserve it. But reality does not operate through time, it operates through states. You do not move toward your desire. You move into the state where your desire is already true. And you do this through feeling. Feeling is not emotional decoration, it is the signal, the imprint, the command your inner world issues to the outer world. When you feel the end result now, life must reflect it with absolute precision, because the outer world is only an obedient mirror that cannot contradict what you consistently accept as true within yourself. The fastest money magnetism happens the moment you feel yourself financially secure, prosperous, supported, and abundant, not as a dream, but as a fact. It may seem too simple, too easy, or too unrealistic, and yet it is the only force that has ever created anything. You cannot experience wealth while feeling lack. You cannot attract abundance while embodying fear. You cannot generate financial miracles while vibrating with worry, anxiety, or desperation. And yet many people assume they must change their outer circumstances before they can feel better inside. But it works in the opposite direction. You feel first and the world follows. When you can feel the reality of money already being yours, before seeing a single physical change, you unlock the fastest pathway to financial transformation. This is the essence of the 11-second shift, because the moment you emotionally occupy your desired state, the change begins instantly, even if the evidence comes later. You must understand that your imagination is not pretending. It is the womb of creation. When you close your eyes and feel the relief of having the money you desire, your subconscious accepts that state as fact. It does not distinguish between imagination and physical reality. Whatever you feel deeply becomes the blueprint your outer world must mirror. This is why feeling the end is more powerful than visualization alone. Visualization is the picture. Feeling is the power behind the picture. Many people visualize with no results because they only see the image, they do not enter it. They do not inhabit the emotional atmosphere of the outcome. They watch it like a movie instead of living it like a memory. But when you feel the end, when you feel what it is like to have the money, to be safe, to be free, to be supported, your nervous system shifts, your identity shifts, your beliefs shift, and life shifts accordingly. Ask yourself, how would you feel if the money you want right now was already in your account? Truly ask. What would change inside you? Would your breath loosen? Would your shoulders relax? Would the worry vanish? Would you feel relief, gratitude, satisfaction, freedom, confidence? That feeling is the portal. That feeling is the state. That feeling is the magnet. When you step into it, even briefly, you send a clear, pure signal to creation, and creation responds immediately. The 11-second practice is not about time, it is about immersion. You can change your entire financial trajectory in one moment of complete acceptance. When you feel the end result as real, even for a few seconds, you activate the fastest form of manifestation because you bypass doubt, bypass resistance, bypass lack, and become the version of yourself who already has the outcome. The outer world must adjust. It has no choice. Feeling the end dissolves effort. It removes the struggle from manifestation. Instead of trying to manipulate circumstances, force outcomes, or chase opportunities, you allow the right opportunities to move toward you. Life begins working through channels you could never predict. Unexpected refunds, sudden opportunities, surprising clients, random breakthroughs, effortless shifts in circumstances, people who suddenly want to help you, situations that rearrange themselves in your favor. You become magnetic not because you are chasing money, but because you are embodying the version of yourself who naturally lives in abundance. You are no longer in the state of wanting, you are in the state of having. And having is the state that attracts. But feeling the end requires one thing, surrendering the old version of yourself. The version that identifies with lack, anxiety, fear, unworthiness, or financial struggle cannot produce a new outcome because it operates from the assumption that money is separate, difficult, or limited. You must shed this identity by stepping into the new emotional atmosphere of abundance. This does not mean ignoring your current circumstances. It means refusing to be defined by them. It means acknowledging that your inner world has more authority than your bank account. It means trusting that feeling the end is more powerful than any external action you could take. When you stop reacting to your current situation and start responding from the state of your desired outcome, you shift your destiny. Feeling the end is also the key to dissolving fear. Fear only exists when you identify with a version of yourself who is vulnerable, unsupported, or lost. But once you feel yourself as wealthy, stable, and taken care of, fear loses its foundation. You rise above it. You replace it with certainty, not because you force confidence, but because the state you occupy naturally produces confidence. When you fully feel the end, doubt cannot survive. You do not ask, when will it come? Because you feel it is done. You do not ask, how will it happen? Because the result feels inevitable. You do not chase signs or look for proof, because the feeling itself is the proof. The feeling is the answer. The feeling is the manifestation. Everything else is simply the world catching up. When you practice feeling the end daily, even briefly, you train your subconscious to accept abundance as your natural state. You condition yourself to live from the version of you who already has wealth. And the more you return to this state, the faster the outer world conforms. This is the power behind the fastest money shift. It is not effort. It is not repetition. It is not forcing. It is embodiment. It is becoming the result emotionally before it becomes physical. This inner shift initiates everything. So feel the end. Feel the money now. Feel the relief now. Feel the security now. Feel the gratitude now. Even if it is only for 11 seconds, those seconds carry the most concentrated creative energy in the universe. They rewrite your identity. They command the outer world. They magnetize opportunities. They bring money into your life in ways that bypass logic and exceed expectation. Feeling the end is the bridge between desire and reality, between lack and abundance, between wanting and receiving. And once you master this state, the fastest money shift is no longer a miracle. It becomes your normal way of being. TH11 Skafti Adofantivakitio Redabaritis Mulinavalaity. The entire universe bends to the clarity of your inner conviction, and nothing demonstrates this truth more powerfully than the 11-second shift. A brief moment of pure acceptance that has the ability to rearrange your financial world with surprising speed and precision. Most people assume that change requires time, discipline, struggle, or consistent effort, but reality does not obey time, it obeys identity. When you fully accept a new state, even for a few seconds, the change begins instantly. The outer world has no power of its own. It only plays back your assumed truth. This is why 11 seconds of absolute certainty can accomplish more than 11 months of trying, affirming, forcing, or worrying. The 11-second shift is the moment you stop asking for money and start being the version of yourself who has it. It is the moment you stop wishing and begin claiming. It is the split second when you breathe from your future instead of your past. In these seconds, whether you realize it or not, you are issuing a command to the universe that cannot go unanswered. Every financial breakthrough, opportunity, and shift that follows is merely the slow echo of the quick inner shift you performed. But what makes these 11 seconds so powerful? It is not the number. 11 is not magic, it is the immersion. For most of your life, your energy is divided. You desire abundance while feeling lack. You want money while embodying worry. You imagine a better future while holding on to old identities. But for 11 seconds, you suspend the contradiction. For 11 seconds, you give your subconscious a pure, undiluted signal. For 11 seconds, you step into the end result so completely that your inner world forgets the old you and accepts the new state as real. This is the moment of ignition. This is where the subconscious says, "This is who we are now." And the outer world begins rearranging itself to match the identity you've claimed. The reason results show up so quickly after the 11-second shift is because there is zero resistance in that moment. Resistance cannot live where conviction lives. Doubt cannot enter when the feeling of completion dominates. Fear cannot speak when you have already experienced the end. These 11 seconds silence the old story long enough for creation to begin. The 11-second shift is not visualization alone, it is emotional embodiment. You must feel the result, not observe it like a dream. You must enter it. You must breathe from it. You must pull it around you like a coat that fits perfectly. To perform the shift, close your eyes and step into the version of yourself who already has the money you desire. Do not imagine receiving it. Imagine having it. Imagine the relief of opening your banking app and seeing the exact amount you want. Imagine the comfort of knowing everything is paid for. Imagine the freedom of moving through life without financial pressure. Imagine how differently you would walk, how differently you would think, how differently you would respond. Let the feeling rise in your chest. Let the relief sink into your breath. Let the gratitude settle into your body. Hold it. Hold it for 11 seconds. Not as hope, not as fantasy, but as fact. This is the identity shift, and it is the single most potent creative act a human being can perform. In those 11 seconds, you become unavailable for lack. You become incompatible with struggle. You stop vibrating with fear. Your nervous system aligns with abundance. Your subconscious locks in a new normal. And once the subconscious accepts something as normal, reality must reflect it. This is the law. The 11-second shift is the fastest way to bypass your logical mind, the part of you that questions, doubts, analyzes, and calculates. Logic cannot create miracles. Logic cannot rewrite your identity. Logic cannot open financial pathways that defy reason, but feeling can. And when feeling takes over even briefly, logic steps aside and the creative power within you takes the lead. That is why miracles often appear only after you let go, after you surrender, after you stop forcing and begin feeling. The 11-second shift is surrender in its purest form. Not surrender as giving up, but surrender as becoming the end result now. You might wonder, can such a short moment really change my life? Yes, because that moment is the only place change ever happens. The universe does not respond to the hours you spend worrying. It does not respond to the days you spend waiting. It does not respond to the time you invest in chase mode energy. It responds to identity, and identity changes in an instant. The old version of you falls away the moment you stop identifying with it. You do not need weeks to become wealthy internally. You need a moment of choosing. You need a moment of acceptance. You need a moment of inner truth so strong that the outer world cannot hold its form. That moment is the 11-second shift. It is the point where you say, "This is who I am now," and your energy aligns with the new reality. Once the shift is made, your life begins to reflect it. You notice opportunities you once overlooked. You take actions you previously doubted. People respond to you differently. Circumstances shift. Money flows through unexpected channels. Breakthroughs occur without effort. Doors open without force. Life becomes cooperative because life is always cooperative to the version of you that knows who it is. The 11-second shift is the awakening of that version. It is the moment you choose abundance over fear. It is the moment you stop rehearsing limitations and begin rehearsing your power. It is the moment you break the cycle of lack and step into the frequency of wealth. The beauty of the 11-second shift is that you can repeat it anytime. You can collapse time again and again. You can reinforce the state until it becomes your dominant identity. And once abundance becomes your identity, money stops being something you manifest and becomes something that naturally gravitates toward you. It becomes normal, expected, familiar. The 11-second shift is not about manifesting money. It is about becoming the version of yourself who money effortlessly responds to. This inner transformation is the true cause of every financial miracle. So perform the shift. Feel the end. Step into the state. Hold it for 11 seconds. Let your heart accept what your circumstances deny. Let your imagination claim what your logic doubts. Let your energy embody what your outer world has not yet caught up to. In these seconds, creation is happening. In these seconds, your destiny is shifting. In these seconds, the financial reality you desire is already forming around you. The 11-second shift is the doorway, the catalyst, the spark, and once you master it, money must follow. Ientirayan txtet e of tml to entiatia hatmakes moning obyyyou. There is a version of you that money cannot ignore, a version of you that life bends toward, a version of you that naturally attracts opportunities, abundance, overflow, and financial freedom without strain. And the key to unlocking this version is entering the state of the wealthy self. Not as a wish, not as a dream, not as a future goal, but as an identity you occupy right now. The world teaches you to treat wealth as something external that must be earned, pursued, built, or proven through action. But the truth is far more powerful. Money responds to who you are being, not what you are doing. When you step into the identity of the wealthy self, you begin to walk, speak, think, and feel from a different frequency. A frequency that commands financial reality instead of reacting to it. You cannot attract wealth while wearing the identity of lack, because identity is the magnet and money is simply the metal that moves toward it. The wealthy self is not arrogant, not desperate, not fearful. It is grounded, certain, open, and receptive. This version of you does not chase money. It assumes money will always find its way. And this assumption alone reshapes the entire field of your life. To understand the power of the wealthy self, consider this. Every outcome in your life is the shadow of the identity you inhabit. If you see yourself as someone who struggles financially, your world mirrors that belief. If you see yourself as someone who tries to earn money, life will continuously give you situations where you must try harder. If you see yourself as someone who is always getting by, then getting by becomes the repeating script of your reality. Identity is the script, life is the stage where the script is performed. And because identity is internal and energetic, you do not have to wait for anything external before stepping into a new one. You can choose the wealthy self now. You can begin embodying the version of yourself who already has money, already feels secure, already trusts life, already experiences abundance, already lives in overflow. And once you assume that identity internally, the world must conform. It cannot resist the command of your inner self. Entering the state of the wealthy self is not about pretending or faking confidence. It is about shifting your emotional baseline. Ask yourself, how would I feel if I truly were financially abundant? How would I breathe? How would I think? How would I move? How would I make decisions? How would I respond to challenges? How would I view opportunities? The wealthy self does not panic over small expenses. The wealthy self does not cling tightly to money with fear. The wealthy self does not shrink from investing or expanding. The wealthy self operates from stability, generosity, trust, and inner knowing. When you embody this emotional posture, even briefly, you unlock a new frequency, one that aligns with financial overflow. This alignment is not imagination, it is creation. The moment you feel it, the shift begins. You must understand that wealth is not created through action alone. It is created through assumption. Action is simply the echo of identity. When you feel wealthy, you naturally act in ways that lead to wealth. You make decisions from clarity rather than fear. You take opportunities instead of hesitating. You communicate with confidence instead of self-doubt. You magnetize people who feel your energy. You attract circumstances that resonate with your inner state. You activate ideas, insights, and inspired impulses that were invisible to you before. This is why stepping into the wealthy identity is the fastest way to change your financial life. Not because it magically drops money into your lap, but because it rewires the energetic foundation from which you operate. You become a different version of yourself, and that version is equipped for abundance. The wealthy self is not something you force yourself to become, it is something you allow yourself to remember. You were born with a natural sense of enoughness, openness, and worthiness. Lack was learned, fear was learned, scarcity was taught. The wealthy identity is simply your return to the self that knows its own power. When you release the old identity, the self that doubts, fears, struggles, or feels undeserving, you create space for the wealthy self to emerge. This letting go is not painful, it is freeing. The moment you stop identifying with lack, abundance begins to bloom. To enter the wealthy state, begin by imagining yourself at your highest financial level. Don't imagine the path, imagine the result. See yourself living with financial ease. Feel the calm, the certainty, the confidence. Feel the emotional atmosphere of someone whose money always flows, always replenishes, always works in their favor. This is not fantasy, it is identity. And identity is built through repetition of feeling. If you can step into this emotional state daily, even for brief moments, your subconscious will adopt it as your new normal. And once your subconscious accepts a new identity, the outer world must rewrite itself to match. The wealthy self is powerful because it does not rely on circumstances to feel secure. It creates circumstances through its inner security. You stop reacting to what is and start generating what will be. You become the cause of your financial life, not the effect of it. You stop waiting for money to make you feel wealth and instead feel wealthy to make money come. This inversion of power is the essence of manifestation. When you think from the end, feel from the end, and embody the end must appear. You might ask, how long must I stay in the wealthy state before results come? But the truth is, results begin the moment the identity is accepted. The physical manifestation arrives afterward. But the energetic shift is immediate. You are not waiting for the world is waiting for you. It responds the moment you step into your rightful identity. Life always reflects the version of you that you believe most deeply. So believe in the wealthy self. Feel as the wealthy self. Think from the wealthy self. Decide as the wealthy self. Live as the wealthy self. And the outer world must respond accordingly. You do not need proof. You do not need signs. You do not need validation. The wealthy self does not seek confirmation because it already knows. And this knowing is what bends reality. Money becomes easier. Opportunities arrive quickly. Solutions appear effortlessly. You meet people at the right time. You find ideas that lead to expansion. Life begins flowing in your favor, not because you did more, but because you became more. You matched the frequency of abundance, and abundance recognized you. Entering the state of the wealthy self is the most powerful act of creation you will ever perform. Once you step into this identity, you become magnetic to financial flow. You become the embodiment of prosperity. And your world, by the law of expression, must mirror that identity in full force. The wealthy self is not a fantasy, it is your destiny. And the moment you choose to occupy it, everything begins to change. Living in the finished money state is not about imagination alone. It is about adopting a level of inner certainty so complete, so unquestioned, that it becomes the atmosphere you breathe, the ground you walk on, and the unchallenged identity through which every moment of your life unfolds. When you live in this state, you are no longer checking for signs, no longer measuring progress, no longer wondering if it is working, because you have already accepted the end as real, complete, and irreversible in your inner world. This state is not based on temporary feelings, not based on external confirmation, and not based on the mood of the day. It is based on a fundamental inner knowing, a quiet authority that says, I am wealthy now, and life is simply catching up. Living in the finished money state means you stop asking when, because the moment you ask when, you declare it is not here. It means you stop looking at bank balances as evidence, because your evidence is within. It means you stop wavering between desire and doubt, because you have settled the matter internally. This is what transforms desire into identity. The moment you no longer hope for money, but you know money flows to you. The moment you no longer reach for abundance, but you understand abundance is simply the natural expression of who you are. To live in the finished money state is to treat every second as though your manifestation has already been delivered. You walk as the one who has it. You speak as the one who has it. You respond to life as the one who has it. Not because you are pretending, but because your inner world has already crossed the finish line. This is the shift most people avoid because it requires letting go of the old self completely. The self who worries about bills, the self who feels unworthy, the self who waits for miracles instead of assuming them. If you continue to identify with the old self, you will continue to produce its results. But the moment you identify with the one who has already succeeded, your world aligns with that version of you. You cannot live in two states simultaneously. You cannot be the person who hopes money comes and the person who knows money is theirs at the same time. You must choose. And once you choose, the world rearranges itself with precision so exact it feels supernatural. Living in the finished money state also means mastering the art of inner neutrality. Neutrality is not indifference. It is the absence of doubt. It is the place where you no longer react from fear when things appear slow, when people disagree, or when circumstances seem unchanged. You do not panic because the physical world is merely a delayed reflection of what is already true within you. When you are neutral, you stop giving meaning to delays, obstacles, or temporary appearances. You don't need things to look good for you to remain certain. And ironically, because you no longer demand instant proof, the proof arrives faster. This is the secret behind effortless manifestation. The less pressure you place on the external world, the faster it conforms to your internal world. Neutrality allows you to maintain the end state without wobble, without contradiction, without emotional swings that undo your work. You become stable, centered, unshakable. And when your inner world becomes immovable, your outer world becomes obedient. Another key aspect of living in the finished money state is emotional congruence. You cannot claim abundance internally yet respond to circumstances with fear, anxiety, or desperation. Your emotions must match your identity. This does not mean forcing happiness. It means aligning your reactions with the version of you who already has everything. If the wealthy version of you receives an unexpected bill, they don't collapse, they smile, knowing the means are already assured. If the wealthy version of you faces a challenge, they don't break. They approach it with calm confidence, because they understand their state guarantees the outcome. Emotional congruence is the internal proof that your shift is real. And when your emotions match your identity, your reality must match your emotions. This is not philosophy, it is law. Living in the finished money state also requires revising any moment that contradicts your identity. If something happens in your day that triggers fear, lack, or doubt, you do not let the old state regain control. You revise it instantly. You reinterpret it from the perspective of the version of you who is already wealthy. If someone rejects you, you revise it as redirection. If something appears delayed, you revise it as divine timing. If a setback arises, you revise it as an unfolding step towards something greater. Revising your reactions ensures that the old state has no room to survive. You are constantly affirming the end, even when life appears to give you something else. This is how you train your subconscious mind to accept the final version of you, not as a wish, but as truth. But perhaps the most transformative aspect of living in the finished money state is the inner speech you maintain. Your self-talk becomes the script of your world. If you wake up and speak internally as the one who has money, who expects opportunities, who assumes success, your world must reflect that identity. You begin to notice that people treat you differently. Opportunities find you, ideas appear, synchronicities unfold, not because you fought for them, but because you aligned with the state where they already existed. Living in the end is not about forcing change, it is about becoming the change. And the world simply mirrors what you have already accepted. When you fully accept the finished state, you no longer chase results, results chase you. Money begins to come from directions you never considered. Solutions arise effortlessly. Doors open without effort. You feel guided, supported, and carried by an invisible current that always leads you to more. This is the state where ease replaces struggle, where clarity replaces confusion, and where abundance replaces lack. You no longer think about money as something outside of you. You understand it as an extension of your identity. It cannot leave you because it flows from who you are. And once you live in this identity consistently, you begin to experience what many describe as miraculous shifts, manifestations that appear instantly, dramatically, and unexpectedly. Not because they were random, but because they were inevitable the moment you accepted the end. Living in the finished money state is the final step, the ultimate shift, the true key behind the 11 second creation. It is the willingness to step into the end and refuse to step out. It is the decision to occupy abundance as your home, not your hope. It is the courage to let go of the old self completely and the discipline to remain in the new self effortlessly. When you master this, you no longer worry about money, because money becomes the natural result of your inner being. Your world bends to your conviction. Your circumstances obey your identity. And your life becomes proof that the fastest financial transformation is not achieved through time, effort, or strategy, but through the unwavering decision to live from the end, starting now.